So, we are iterating. We are in this repeated game in the context of this interrogation, which you might also think is like a pitch meeting. Right. Our protagonists, Jake and Holt, control the schedule, right? They control, like, you're here for this long. I can keep calling meetings. I can keep talking to you. They sort of control the rules of the engagement, but their opponent, the suspect, controls the information. Does not need to tell them anything at all, just needs to make it through without revealing anything. And so really, the information that they need at the end of the day is a confession. They need him to say what he did or how he did it, or reveal, kind of what actually went down. But that's not actually the unlock. Like, just asking for that, they tried that. Just asking him, did you do it? And of course that doesn't work. Like, this is dumb. That's actually not the important information that they really need. What is the most important information that they need out of this repeated game in order to have a chance of success?
Yeah, so that leads us to our mountaintop moment here, Brian, and we will answer that question over the course of the scene. The scene in question here is when Peralta, who has been insisting through this entire episode that he has an approach, he's got a tactic that he really wants to try, and Holt has been holding him back. He's like, no, we're not going to lie to the suspect and tell him that we have the neighbor as a witness, and he's going to hold him accountable. So in this situation, though, Peralta tries it himself. He goes at it in one of the iterations. He goes back in, and he's like, so here's the thing. We already have your neighbor, and he said that he saw you there recently, even though you're telling us that you haven't been there for months at your uncle's house, and you're stuck. And the dentist is like, well, that's interesting, because that neighbor's been dead for 3 years.
Crash and burn.
Yeah, right. He tries to bluff, and he gets humiliated.
It gets worse, right? Now the dentist, they played the one card that they had, and now the suspect is like, you guys are completely full of crap.
And you can't bluff anymore now, because
Yeah.
the lawyer's going to start to step into the room and be like, listen, you've already tried this. Whatever you're trying to convince us you have, you don't have. We already were able to prove that you didn't have it. So you've played your one bluff. It's like in the business meeting, like you said, the example that we're giving of a pitch meeting. It's like, if you try to gloss over the data a little bit and make it look nicer than it does, but if that executive or that person from the other stakeholder group or customer or whatever is like, wait a second, no, I think that data is telling a different story, well, the whole thing's going to fall apart.
Yeah, if they poke at it once and they find a soft spot, they find a weakness, then the whole thing is like, well, I don't trust anything that you've said now. Like, I don't believe that you have anything together.
Exactly. And so how does this actually work out in Peralta's favor, Brian?
So Peralta comes back in the room and he's really discouraged. He's like, oh, that didn't work, and now we're in a worse situation. And the boss Holt is like, well, why did you try that? It's like, well, I really wanted to win. Like, I wanted to be the one that figured it out. I wanted to be the smart one. I wanted to be the hero. And then there's this pregnant pause, and then he's like, oh my God, I got it. And then he runs back into the room and he elicits a confession from the suspect. So how does he do this?
Yeah, because he realizes that what he saw in himself, that he wanted to be the smartest person in the room, was in fact the motivation of all three of him, Holt, and the dentist. They were all just trying to outsmart each other. And what he probably also realized is that the dentist actually was the traditionally smartest of all of them, but that it isn't about being the smartest in the situation. It's about learning how to play the game and iterating based on the information that you get. So instead of Jake's motivation in the next iteration be going in so that Jake can win, so that Jake can have all the glory and laud it over Holt and the dentist who he's going to put away, he's like, what if I just give that glory to the dentist and allow him to have what he wants? And oh, by the way, like me, he might even think that he wants that more than he wants to win the game. And so he goes in and he goes to the dentist into explaining how smart he is. And the dentist, goes off on a tirade. He reveals the convicting information that leads to the end of the case.
Yeah. And so, Jake figures out that seeming smart, feeling like you're the smartest person, winning by being smart is more important to this character than keeping his secret. And so he sets him up. So they're like, oh, you got super lucky. It's really lucky for you that all those things came together to allow you to get away with this crime. And as much as this guy wants to get away with the crime, he wants more not to seem like he was just a dumb guy that blundered into getting lucky. He's like, no, this is the perfect crime, and this is the way that I did it because it was planned out every step of the way. Like, he has to prove that he's smart. He's more motivated to prove that he's smart than he is to prove that he's innocent or to get away with it. And so, yeah, it's all, the realization is motivation. Like, if you're iterating in the game, the iteration in the game is to gain information, like to have more facts would be useful. But more facts aren't what unlock this. What unlocks it is insight into the motivation of the person across the table. And that's true in sales. And that's true when you're, trying to get something out of your boss or somebody that holds a resource in your company, right? If you ask them for something the first time based on what you want and what you need and the facts, you're probably going to get a no, right? But if you're lucky, if you ask a couple times and you get a couple different flavors of no, the flavors of no will tell you what that person actually wants. They will say no because you're not solving this other problem that I actually care about. No, because you didn't consider this factor that will be bad that I actually care about. Right. And so then you have to bake that into your approach. You have to bake that into your plan. Is like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to make a pitch not about what I want, but I'm going to make a pitch about what you want.